Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning series for mathematics. Today's lesson is for students in grade 2, but everyone's welcome to join. My name is Miss Kim, and I'm a second grade teacher at Grant Elementary in Spokane Public Schools. I'll be your teacher for this lesson. Today, we're learning how to solve story problems by reading carefully and using strategies. For today's lesson, you may need to gather some paper and a pencil. I'll give you a moment to gather your supplies. Okay, let's get started. So let's start by talking about what story problems are. Story problems are a lot like stories and have a lot of the same parts. You'll have characters, who or what the story is about. You'll have a setting, so where and when the story takes place. But then instead of having maybe a problem and ending, you're going to have some information and then a question or more than one question, and you get to kind of finish out the story. So the stories we're going to be looking at today are going to have characters, are going to have a setting, but there's going to be some part where we're going to have to answer a question. Let's start thinking about, how do I start to solve a story problem? Now, just like when we're reading books, sometimes story problems will have pictures that go along with them, and it's helpful to preview the pictures before reading the story to start to get an idea of what's going to happen. So take a look at the picture on the screen that goes with the story we're going to read. What are some things you notice? What are some things you wonder? For example, I noticed that this is a toy company, and it looks like they're selling yo-yos in boxes of hundreds, tens, and ones. It looks like there's some sort of delivery truck outside of the toy store that has, I'm guessing, 129 yo-yos in it, because that's what it says. Let's see what the story is about. It is spring, and suddenly everyone wants a yo-yo. The toy store already has 223 yo-yos in stock, but they decide to order 129 more. How many yo-yos will they have in all? Okay, so we were right about the setting of the story. It's a yo-yo, or it's a toy company that's selling yo-yos. So what did I learn from reading the story? I learned that it's spring. That's part of the setting. I also learned that there are already 223 yo-yos in the store, which I could see before in the picture, and there are 129 in the truck, which I also saw in the picture. Now I know what the question is that I need to answer. How many yo-yos will they have in all? Now I'm going to try and take what I learned from the story and put it into an equation so that I'm able to solve the question and answer the end of the story. Let's see, since they're asking how many yo-yos they will have in all, I feel like we're combining what's in the truck and what's in the store. We're adding them together, so I think this will be an addition equation. 223 plus 129 equals something. The 223 are the ones in the store. The 129 are the ones in the truck. And then I'm trying to figure out how many in all. I like to just label my equations to make sure that they match the story and they make sense. Okay, so let's think about how to solve this. So what strategies can I use to solve a story problem? I have an equation, and now I can use strategies just like I would use if I didn't have a story problem. So whenever I'm not sure what strategy to start with, I always like to go back to some sort of picture or something that I can see and count. So here's a picture of base 10 pieces that we've used in class before. And if I didn't have these, I could just draw a picture with squares for hundreds, sticks for tens, and then little squares or dots for ones. So in my picture, I've made 223 up here, and I've made 129 down here. I made them separately so that I could make sure that I had both numbers right, and now I'm going to start trying to put them together. So I see 300s to start, so I know that there's 300 here. Then I see 1, 2, 3, 4 tens, so that's 40. And let's see how many ones. I can see that down in 129, I almost have enough to make a 10. I just need one more. So if I take one from here, because I'm putting these numbers together, and put it here, then this will be 10. So I'll have to put another 10 here. And then I still have 2 ones left in my picture. So I know there's 300 plus 40 plus 10 plus 2 in my picture, and that's a little bit easier for me to put together than just counting all of those little squares by ones. That would take a really long time, and I might not get it right at the end. So my numbers, let's see, I want to put my tens together first. I have 50. So my final number of yo-yos will be 352. And I might write a sentence to answer this question now, that there are 352 yo-yos in all. Now I don't always have to use a picture. I could use another type of model, and another one that I feel pretty comfortable with after our whole year in second grade is a number line. So if I wanted to solve this on a number line, I'd draw on a nice long number line to start. And since I'm adding, I'm kind of going to do a strategy where, in a way, I count on. I don't want to jump a whole bunch of hundreds and tens and ones. It'll fill up the whole number line. So I'm going to start at 223 because I'm adding 129 to that. 223. Now, if I do 129 jumps of 1, I'm not going to have enough room on my number line. So I'm going to be a little strategic about this. 100, that's pretty easy for me to add mentally. So I'm going to go ahead and do a big jump of 100 to start. I had 200s on this number before. I added one more. So now I should have 323. I still have the 23 because I didn't do anything with the tens or the ones. Let's see. Now I have 2 tens here. I think I can add that to the 2 tens I already have into 323. So I'll make a jump of 2 tens. I maybe should have made it a little smaller, but I'm trying my best. So now I have 300 still, and 2 tens plus 2 tens would be 4 tens, or 40, and then I still have 3 ones. Okay, now I'm looking at my ones that I have left to add. I have 9 ones here. I have 3 ones here, so I know that that's going to make more than 10. So I'm going to break this up a little bit. What goes with 3 to make 10? Hope we said 7. So I know there's 7 and 9. And after 7, there's 2 more in 9. So I'm going to try to add 7 and then 2, because that will get me to a nice friendly multiple of 10. So plus 7, that will make a 10, which will give me 350. And then I have to add 2 more. So that will give me 352. Look at that. It was the same as the last strategy. because we're doing the same problem. We're just doing it with a different model. If you're not sure about your numbers or you feel uncomfortable with a certain model, it might always be a good idea to check with another model to see if you get the same thing. So here's the picture from that same toy store problem, but now with the truck open, so that you can see there are 352 yo-yos in all, just like we thought. So let's take a moment to review how we solved that story problem, because we can use the same basic ideas for any story problem that we run into. First, we previewed the picture. Story problems won't always have a picture, so you're welcome to make one yourself or to create a picture in your head, just so that you can get an idea of what the characters are or the setting is. We read the problem to make sure that we knew what the characters and setting were and what the question was. Then we used the information in the problem to write an equation. We kind of translated it to math so that then we could use what we knew to solve the problem. We solved using a couple of different strategies, and the two that I showed weren't all the strategies that you could use, they were just some of the options. And at the very end, we wrote the answer to the story problem right down here in our sentence. There are 352 yo-yos in all. So let's take a look at another problem. Here's a picture for this one. You can see it's the same setting, but there are a few things that are different. Take a moment to think about what you notice and what you wonder. Maybe talk about it with someone near you. Maybe you notice that this time, instead of yo-yos, there are beach balls in the shop, but they're still in boxes of 10 and then in boxes that are just ones. This time you might also notice that there's a question mark on the truck, which might lead you to wonder, what's in that truck? Let's find out. Beach balls have become so popular that the toy store has only 37 left. They order more in a hurry. After the truck makes its delivery, they'll have 190. How many are in the truck? Okay, so let's think about what the author of this story told us. We know that this is about beach balls and that there are 37 left in the store, and I can even check that by counting how many I see in the window of the store, and I do see 37. Now they ordered some, and once they get them out of the truck, they'll have 190. So our question is, how many are in that truck? Take a moment and see if you can write an equation that talks about what is going on in this story. Remember, it might not be the same type of equation as last time. So here's an equation that shows how I thought about the problem. 37 plus something equals 190. You might have also thought of it as subtraction, which is totally fine because we are trying to find the difference between 37 and 190. What will go with 37 to make 190? So since I thought of this as a missing addend, I made a picture of 190, and then I colored in 37 to see what was left in 190 after I'd taken out that 137. So here 37 are yellow, and when I count all the rest up, I can see that there are 100, see 50, I see 5 tens, and then 3 ones, 153. So I think there are 153 balls in the truck. Again, I could also use a number line as a model to solve the same equation. So I've set up my number line with 37 on one end and 190 on the other because I'm trying to see how much I need to get from 37 to 190. And same as before, I love using multiples of 10. So I'm going to start by adding 3 to this 37 because I know that will make a multiple of 10. 3 plus 7 is 10, so now I have 4 tens, which is 40. Now another nice number to get to is 100. How do I get from 40 to 100? Just like how 4 and 6 make 10, 40 and 60 make 100. So I'll add 60. Now, how do I get from 100 to 190? I'll add 90. Okay, so now I need to figure out how far I went in all. I had 90 plus 60. That would be 150. I know because 9 plus 6 is 15. So 90 plus 60 would be 150. Plus 3 more would be 153. I got the same number I got before. Let's see if there are 153 in that truck. I see 100, 5 boxes of 10, and 3 boxes of 1. So we were right. It was 153. I would write a sentence now that says, there are 153 in the truck. So today we learned what story problems are, how to read story problems really carefully, and how to use strategies to solve so that you can answer the questions in story problems. At home, you can be the author and the solver and write your own story problems. For example, take a look at the picture on the screen. Could you write a story problem to go along with that? If you can, get somebody else to answer it and see if their answer matches what you had planned. And it doesn't just have to be about an ant toy store. You could draw a picture of anything and write a story problem to go along with it. I've enjoyed doing math with you today. Thank you for joining me as you continue your learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again for our next lesson. And remember, if you're looking for more activities, they can be found on the Spokane Public Schools Learning from Home website.